Around goes Bubba. Busch is in it as well. There's Bowman. Bowman's in the wall. Stenhouse is in there. So too Cindric. And Zane Smith.
Bubba Wallace walked away from his car at Daytona, but what happened next shook NASCAR even more than the crash itself. On August 23, 2025, just 27 laps into the Coke Zero Sugar 400, the big one struck early. More than a dozen cars were destroyed, championship hopes were shaken, and behind the garage doors of 2311 Racing, whispers quickly turned into headlines. What began as a superspeedway wreck spiraled into a public clash between driver and co-owner. In NASCAR, wrecks are nothing new. Tempers flare, fingers point, but when the dust settles, teammates usually keep criticism behind closed doors. That's why what followed this Daytona crash felt different. Denny Hamlin, Wallace's boss at 2311 Racing and a three-time Daytona 500 winner, broke the code of silence. Instead of standing behind his driver, Hamlin called him out publicly on his Actions Detrimental podcast. He didn't hedge or soften his words. He said what millions heard and saw. Bubba Wallace made the wrong move, and it took out half the field.
Downforce. It looked like to me that Bubba just squeezed those two guys below him down. I don't...
Coming from Wallace's team co-owner, those words carried far more weight than if they came from a rival. The accident itself happened in a flash. Wallace, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch thundered through the tri-oval three wide. The lanes narrowed. Wallace's number 23 Toyota edged down across Logano's nose. Busch had nowhere to go. Contact turned into chaos. Within seconds, sheet metal was flying. Riley Herbst, Wallace's teammate, was destroyed. Hamlin himself was caught in the mess, limping away with heavy damage. Logano, Busch, and others were out. Fans gasped as replays showed cars scattering like marbles across the banking. This was no minor spin. It was Daytona's trademark big one, the kind every driver dreads, where luck and inches separate survival from disaster. But what mattered most was how it started, and in Hamlin's view, it started with his own driver. Spotters are lifelines on super speedways. At 190 miles per hour, a driver can't always see who's stacked beside them. They rely on voices above the track to say one simple phrase, clear or not clear. Hamlin believed Wallace ignored that truth. To him, Wallace forced a move into a hole that wasn't there. It wasn't just bad luck, it was a bad decision.
I don't know what Freddie was calling. Maybe he was saying three wide top or not. I'm not sure. But he just squeezed on down there. And
his words stung. Drivers often criticize each other after wrecks, but a co-owner criticizing his own driver, that cut deeper. Fans were left wondering, could a team built on trust handle that kind of public fracture? After being released from the infield care center, Wallace gave his version. Speaking to NBC's Parker Kligerman, he said Kyle Larson's number. 5 Chevrolet had shoved him at the wrong time. At the same moment, Logano and Ryan Blaney shifted up. 3 moves converged in one heartbeat. The result was chaos. Man, I hate it, Wallace sighed, 22nd to the lead in a short amount of time. At first, Wallace leaned on Larson's push as the trigger, but after rewatching the footage, Wallace surprised everyone. He took the blame. I'll take the blame for it, unfortunately. Just a crap deal, he admitted. That honesty was rare in a sport where drivers often deflect. Wallace owned the moment, saying things had been going too good too early, and something was bound to go wrong. He pivoted quickly, saying he was locked into the playoffs and ready to shift focus to Darlington. Some fans praised his maturity, others felt it was too little, too late. But one thing was clear, Wallace didn't fire back at Hamlin. He took the hit and moved forward. Then another piece entered the puzzle. Freddie Kraft, Wallace's spotter. On his Door Bumper Clear podcast, Kraft admitted his call may have contributed to the disaster. He thought Larson forced the middle and squeezed space that wasn't there. Wallace may have believed he had clearance based on the call. 5 just tried to force middle there, Kraft said. His admission painted a bigger picture. Superspeedway crashes aren't about one choice. They're about timing, trust, and radios buzzing with split-second calls. So who was at fault? Hamlin said Wallace. Wallace blamed himself. Kraft pointed to Larson. Fans split into camps arguing every angle. What no one could deny was the fallout. A team suddenly under a microscope. For 2311 Racing, The crash wasn't just about broken cars. It was about pressure. Michael Jordan co-owns the team and sponsors invest millions into its drivers. Having the team's star driver blamed by its co-owner on a podcast broadcast to thousands wasn't exactly the message of unity. Could Wallace and Hamlin put this behind them before the playoffs? Would this public crack shake confidence inside the team? With both drivers locked into the postseason, the timing couldn't have been worse. Fans started asking, would this fuel tension in the garage, or would the team use it as motivation to prove they could overcome adversity? Social media lit up. Clips of Hamlin's podcast spread everywhere. Some fans backed Hamlin, saying Wallace's aggressive move ended too many nights. Others defended Wallace, saying Larson's shove left him boxed in. The debate spilled into talk shows and online forums. Was Hamlin too harsh, or was he just being honest? Fans love drama, and this one gave them plenty. Every replay, every angle, every quote became fuel for endless debate. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson wasn't even at the center of the discussion, but he couldn't avoid it. His number 5 Chevrolet was there when the chaos started, and Kraft's comments dragged him into the spotlight. Was Larson a victim, or did he force the middle and set the wreck in motion? Larson didn't answer directly, but his reputation for aggressive pack racing kept his name in the mix. Even when Larson doesn't win, he leaves fingerprints on the storylines. Daytona was only the finale of the regular season. Next comes the real test, the playoffs. And the opener, the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway, the toughest, most grueling race of the year. Darlington is nothing like Daytona. The draft isn't king. Patience and precision are. The track is called the Lady in Black. For a reason, the walls scrape paint from nearly every car. It rewards smart driving and punishes mistakes. For Wallace, it's a chance to reset, prove his maturity, and show Hamlin he can rebound. For Hamlin, still chasing his first Cup Series championship, it's about proving he can lead as both a driver and team owner. And for 23XI, it's about holding together when the spotlight shines brightest. The Daytona wreck wasn't just another crash, it exposed cracks, tested relationships, and reminded everyone how fragile team chemistry can be. Hamlin's blunt words, Wallace's calm acceptance, Kraft's admission, and Larson's shadow all combined into one of the most talked about storylines of the season. NASCAR thrives on speed, risk, and drama. This wreck delivered all three. Now the question is simple. Will Hamlin and Wallace bury the hatchet and chase a title together, or will Daytona's fallout follow them into the playoffs? As the engines fire at Darlington, all eyes will be on 23XI Racing because the story is far from over.